I'm extra excited for today. Thank you.
Well, I'm excited.
We're going to have so much fun. Okay, so Laura and I were lucky enough to meet Ross. He's in a coaching group that I signed up for, which is incredible. And we went to that Create 26 event that we taught a class on in Georgia. And we met this guy named Ross, and he was like, "Hey, I'm from California, and I do all this cool stuff. And I've been in real estate a long time, and I'm doing stuff in all these different cities. And I used to play baseball." And we just had a blast with him. And so we said, "Will you come on our podcast? Will you come teach us something? Because I feel like we're always learning." And he, without hesitation, said yes. So thank you, Ross, for being here. We cannot wait to ask you a bunch of nosy questions and learn from you. So thank you for giving back to our community.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me. And I totally enjoyed my time with you guys. I was looking for somebody to have dinner with, and you two so nicely volunteered. So I wasn't sitting at a table by myself. So that was awesome. Glad to meet you guys and excited for this.
He's an introvert too, which I appreciate. And he said, "I came here, I signed up for this, I'm paying for this coaching class. By God, I'm gonna like make myself go out there and meet people. So if you guys go sign up for something, even if you don't feel like it, just get out there and make a friend. You never
And
know."
I couldn't even tell y'all were introverts, so that was good. Y'all did good. Y'all faked it well.
We've come a long way.
Yeah.
Okay, so Laura and I kind of got to know some of your story, but a lot of us have not, and I don't know all of it. So if you could kind of share, who is Ross? Where did you, like, how did you get into real estate? Because some people intentionally jump into it, some fall into it. How did this journey begin?
Totally. Well, fast forward to kind of that juncture. Um, I had been playing minor league baseball. I played college baseball, met my wife right after college, and we started dating right before I was signed by the Arizona Diamondbacks to go off and play minor league baseball. And I ended up playing 5 years of minor league ball. And during that time, we got married. We had our first child when we were playing in Chicago. And it came down to before my last season, I'd kind of decided that, if I'm not in the big leagues by 26, then it's time to hang it up because that's a great retirement age, 26, right? On that $1,000 a month salary you get playing minor league baseball. So I could ride off into the sunset. No, I'm just kidding. So it's time for a change. So my dad, he encouraged me to grab my real estate license before I went into my last spring training. And so I did it. I passed the test, went to spring training, and the season just went so weird. Like my wife and I faced struggles off the field. I ended up tearing my labrum on the field, and then it was time to go home and start real estate. So I called up the lady that he had. Told me I had a secured spot on her team because I felt like that was the best way to break in. And she was like, "Yeah, I got like 4, 5 hours a week for you." It's like, "Oh, okay." So I'm gonna really jump into this on my own here. And so I just jumped in. I was working sticky note leads from REOs back in 2010, and then that just progressed. Family Guy has this, cartoon, right? And it has a little spot on it where they're scared that they're going to become realtors because they were losing their job, like accidentally become a realtor. And one of the guys was like, "How'd you become a realtor?" And the guy was like, "Oh, I was a minor league baseball player and I tore my labrum. Now I'm a realtor." And I was like, "Oh, so that's me." Okay. But anyway, so that's how I fell into real estate kind of intentionally, but without really having a framework or an idea of what I was about to be doing.
The dad was like, "Hey, you need to prepare," and he picked real estate, and you're like, "Why not? Let's do this."
Yeah, so my dad, he's a architect, contractor, interior designer in some high-end clubs in the Palm Springs desert, Indian Wells. And he was like, "Dude, I've been building all these spec houses, and I think that the realtor made more money than my company did on like putting these homes together and taking the profits." So he's like, "Sounds like it would be a good idea for you to maybe jump into that." So, okay, Dad. Like my 25-year-old self, no idea what was going on.
That's awesome. Huh.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to jump into that.
So I hope you didn't mention this, but I think I didn't hear it. So what was your wife doing at the time? You were young. You had kids or a
Yeah,
kid?
we had just had our first kid, and my wife was just trusting in the Lord and trusting in me to go make it happen. So she was raising our daughter, and my wife has like a way more fun story than I did. She was Snow White at Disneyland. She was like so talented. And, I'm so thankful to the Lord for her because she gave up like all of her talents and paths to come and support me at every step of the way. And that's like my big why, my big reason. And so yeah, that's what she was doing was supporting me and raising our now three teenagers.
I love that. Did you, I mean, obviously the minor league didn't pay much, which I think I knew that, but I don't think a lot of people realize that you don't make shit until you make it to the big leagues. And even then,
Yes.
sometimes you don't make real money. You make good money, but not real. But
Mhm.
what did you do in that interim when you were trying to build your real estate business and with as far as like supporting an income, or did you get lucky because your dad had listings and you started making it pretty quickly?
No, so my off-season jobs, like one of my assistant coaches at Cal Baptist, where I ended up getting signed out of, they well, he had a Harley Davidson dealership or multiples, and he was like, and I was like, hey man, I need a job. So I was like washing and pushing bikes for $10 an hour, one off season. And then I finally graduated to being able to work for my dad in some off seasons. And that entailed like being on the job site. I was essentially a project manager, and I would just handle scheduling all the trades to come in, do their work, and
Hmm.
then and oversee those projects. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was when I had a strong means of off-season income, but I think that was just the off-season before I jumped into real estate.
Okay. So I think a lot of people, for me, the takeaway is always that I think people that are starting out and they see really successful people like you, I don't know what they think. They think you just magically landed into it or something, right? But
Yeah.
it's proof that even though like you had this really great, what a lot of people would perceive as an amazing um, baseball career going, that that can turn into a flop and then you still have to like start from scratch. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, totally. There's no fast forward button, right? There's no
Yeah.
easy button.
Yeah.
But what you can do is when you're grinding and you're really digging in, especially in your youth, you're building what I like to always talk about as intangibles. You can't teach intangibles. Those come from life experience and through baseball, through that grind that we're talking about. That's what really develops you as a person. And that's what then you can relay into your profession and build culture and just work ethic to either make it or not, right?
So true. I
Yeah.
think that there's some things that sports teaches us for business that other like you can't learn anywhere else. My daughter had like her final championship game yesterday and they lost. So another team and it was such a close game. It was like 4 seconds left and she bawled, right? And then she started texting her friends that were on the other team and she's like, "You played really well. Congratulations." Like she did all the right things and I was like, "I've never been so proud of you." Like seeing people in sports and then applying it to real life like you said intangibles you can apply that to everything so when we're building teams we try to look for now like have you been in sports or some kind of competitive something because some things your parents just can't teach you but sports can.
No, absolutely. And you learn in those losses, right? Because that's where you build character. Winning is easy. It's in those losses where you can, like you've said, go and compliment the other side or find a way or an outlet to build positive into that defeat. And I think that's really cool that she did that. That's really cool.
Well, it's great for everyone on here to see that this cool kid from California, right? It's not an easy thing. We've got to always be building and grinding and getting up. And I think that the most successful people just fail faster and we brush it off and we phone a friend and get back to it. If you could, knowing what you know now, look back at that 20-something-year-old guy, what would you tell yourself? And maybe what would you do differently, if anything?
Man, like it's so hard to figure what is the best takeaway because I had to learn all those lessons to be able to sit where I'm sitting right now and have the experience and perspective. So I probably wouldn't change much except for maybe just, it's probably not in business, it's more on the personal side. Like what could I build into better? How could I help my kids, help my wife? How can I build better community? And I like to think of my style as servant leadership. So how can I serve more? And those would be the changes I'd go back and make. But all the stuff I learned in real estate, that was like a master class on what not to do. And so as I put those things in my quiver of knowing what not to do and building to what I'm finding works, and that was irreplaceable. So probably wouldn't go back and tell myself anything about um, real estate. I'd have to learn those lessons over and over and over again. So I'm glad for that. But the things that I would want to do is just to build into other people, be more efficient in the way that I handled relationships and things like that. So that's what I would want to change if I could anything, and minor tweaks here and there. But thankful for the journey for sure.
Absolutely.
When would you say you hit what you would call success? Like what point in your real estate career did that happen and what did that look like for you? I mean, I know we're all probably still reaching for it because you seem like a very growth oriented person, but what would you say the average person would label success and what did that look like?
Yeah, I don't like to put monetary values to success. I think success is who we're developing ourselves into. I always run with the phrase, you don't see anybody with a U-Haul tied to their hearse. You know what I mean? Like in my opinion, we can't take anything with us. So what we can do to help other people and build it to people, that's what I view as success. And like at Create, where we were all hanging out together. I love the fact that we're just stewards of what we have. We're not owners. And so in my opinion, like all everything we have is all we can do is work towards it, grind towards it, however you want to say it. But when we ultimately have it, I think success is what you do with it, and that's where you're deemed successful. So my success started when I made the leap of faith. I got married, and then we had kids, and then we had that project in our house to build into them. And so my success was when I found my life partner and we were able to really build a life together. And that's this only thing that still matters to me today. So it's not about the cars or the money or whatever it is. I'm not a real flash guy anyways, but success is deemed on relationships, I think.
Mm.
Someone said once, like, if you were, Lord forbid, like to get arrested and you had to make a phone call at 2 in the morning, however many people would actually answer your call and come get you. Like, if that number was more than 5 or 10, then that's like you're living a good life. And I was like, oh, that's a nice concept.
Yeah,
Um,
I've been there. I've been in jail at that time. So
we would come get you
yeah.
from Texas. We would fly out there and come pick you up.
We would.
Awesome. You would have too if you were if it, that might be a story for a different time. But yeah, I think anybody would have want to come and sell that one. So that was pretty funny.
So what the
But
story that you were sharing from Create 26, and it's so like enlightening and like it takes all the stress off of like we do business, right? And we can only control what we can control. And there, what you were talking about was they said, if you believe that you are on the right path and you're doing the right things and you're pouring into the right people and you're doing, God's purpose, that's all you can do, right? You can't control everything. And so if God puts you in a certain situation and then you're making great money or you're not making great money, at the end of the day, it's kind of God's money. And so you were saying that that's almost like a relief of, access over ownership, right? Like we get to play in that sandbox, but it's really not ours. Just kind of like I feel like our kids, like I'm so glad to have them, but they're kind of God's, right? So I think having that mindset kind of gives us a relief of we can't control everything. And yeah, it's okay to, if a deal falls through or if life happens, because it's all part of God's plan.
yeah, yeah, and the mentality also of things are happening for you, not to you. I think that's the same kind of mindset. And that's when, nothing's a loss. It's if it's a loss if you stay down. And if you get back up and you build that resiliency, and you're fighting towards something for a greater purpose. And I loved Schulze, like your higher purpose is serve with excellence. And when you're doing that, it doesn't matter what comes in because you're not focused on it. Because I'm a firm believer that the Lord's going to give you what he's going to give you. It's great to work towards things, but at the end of the day, we don't sell the house. A buyer comes and buys it. You know what I mean? Or a seller doesn't hire us. We're performing a service that they're inspired by or they like. We're only in control of what we can do for other people. The results there's so many variables. And if we're going to be tying ourselves to results all the time, then we'll never see the process or the beauty in what lies right before us because we'll live in constant disappointment. So, yeah, being a steward is such a relief because then it takes the pressure. Like this was the line, it takes the pressure off of me. And all I have to do, if I'm being obedient to what God's put on my heart, then nothing else matters, right? Because I know that I'm in line with what he has for me. And that's all I'm trying to do.
It's simple.
I'm curious now, where did you get this mindset from? Was this something that, I mean, obviously you look back on your marriage and that being a purpose. Did you grow into this mindset, or do you feel like you were brought up this way? Because for people that feel kind of lost, or, I mean, I think a lot of people that are in our group that are probably on this call do have faith in God, and that is a guidepost. But it sounds like you are ahead of the game. What got you to this place?
Massive failure,
Okay.
so I think that's the only way. So I grew up in a Christian home and I thought that I could just like float into heaven on the shoestrings of my awesome parents.
And your
And
baptismal certificate.
there you go,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I made it. I made it, I believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that is enough belief, right?
Hmm.
But what the journey, and you guys are catching me on the upswing of a journey. This past year has been such a year of development and trusting the Lord. Like we've stepped out from our old independent brokerage. We've stepped out of the only home that we've ever lived in. Not home because we're like serial home buyers, but out of the city that we've only lived in, and now we're in a new place. We just rounded out our first year in a new city in a whole new market, couple hours away from where we used to live. So we're building in new, and our kids are building in new. It just everything is fresh, and so it was really interesting to go through that experience all the while. Uh, the best way to get through that and to see the actual vision that God put on my heart was to press more into Him. So, yeah, just a lot of failures along the way. A lot of ego is not your ego. A lot of really leaning into it's not about me at all. So that's a guy thing that you got to learn. And so, yeah, I'm definitely always a work in progress, and I'm nothing special, nor have I arrived. But yeah, I'll credit my background, and I'll credit that God never let me go. He's always chasing me.
We're happy to be part of this journey and get to watch it. It's incredible. So you moved to a new city. I know that there's a lot of people watching that are either moving cities or they're new to real estate or they're new to their city. There's a lot of, oh my gosh, how can I figure this out? I'm competing with people who have been here their whole lives. Do you have any tips
Mhm.
and tricks? Because I feel like now, Mr. Serial Homebuyer, you're a serial expander where you're now going, well, now that I figured out this new city, why can't I copy and paste this into a different city? And I think that
Right.
at eXp, expansion is huge and opportunity is just in 29 countries right now. What does that look like? And kind of, can you share some techniques on how you're expanding and thriving in new cities?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is my exciting part, right? So we spoke about earlier how when you're younger, you first getting started, all you really have is your hustle and grind, right? What what you have. So that's a great starting point, and you have to be there. Unless if you're blessed with resources to start, and you can build a platform, whatever it is, that's great. But most people like me had $0, and they're like, cool, real estate, let's go. So I started with hustle and grind, but you can't scale on that foundation. That is a pretty sandy deal because there's no systems, there's no operations. It's what's going on in my head today, no real path except for I need to sell another house. I have to sell another house. I have to sell another house. So what I found recently, as going back to about 2020, was I needed something scalable because I like teams. I like building something. I like that camaraderie that brings. And for me, you can only scale on systems and processes and operations. You can't scale on hustle and grind. And what I was a bottleneck in my business. So everything had to flow through me. I only have 100% capacity in each day. So I needed to build outlets for delegation, for leadership, for ways for people to get in there, and help and have something to buy into. Your vision has to be accepted by everyone in your organization, and it's hard for them to say, okay, your vision is your hustle and grind, like I'm in, because they're like, no, it's my hustle and grind. um, Everyone needs to own something. And when you put something that's larger than yourself in front of people, that's when they can buy into it, because it's going to bring fruit to them in their future. And they see that it's going to be beneficial for not just the person that's growing it, but for everyone involved. So starting those systems and operations, finding a tech stack, finding a way to convert at a higher level that I could then replicate and teach to people that wanted to grow their business. That's where all of this started spawning from.
Okay, so I love that you're scaling. I love that now you're going from sales to leadership, right? And at your level, your vision has to be so big that everyone can fit within it, right? Like it's got to be so big that you can fit all of California and all these new markets. So no pressure, right?
Yeah.
You seem really great about, I know a lot of us have read that book, Who Not How. You're really great about finding the who's, and you also have that structure of here's all the things that I need in this system or to make this work, my ecosystem. How do you place your who's? Do you ask them, what do you love? What are you passionate about? Do you diss test them? Like, how are you placing your people and finding your people to build this ecosystem to scale across the states?
Yeah, so I dug into tracking, so it's not nothing that I made up on my own. But do they want it? Um, do they own it, and do they have the capacity to do it? So everyone is probably easy to find people that believe in it and want it, and they see the vision. It's easy for them to buy in. But capacity is a big thing. And when you're building the who, you have to have those seats built. You have to understand what you're going to ask of this person before you can make a hire, because you may be asking the person who really wants it, and but they don't have the abilities, they don't have the capacity, or maybe they don't have that. Everyone's 100% is different. So that's what I really have to dig into is capacity. And that's like the head interview, the heart, the gut part. Most everybody's gonna lead with that, or else they wouldn't be interviewing with you. But then you really have to dial in on, okay, this is what I'm expecting of you, what and see how they can respond to those certain tasks.
If they have the heart, like they want it, and they have the ownership of your vision, but they don't quite have the capacity, do you find them a new place, or do you say thanks but no thanks?
Yeah, we have a lot of levels in our structure, right? So like leadership is something that you definitely have to have the capacity for, but um, learning is always something we want to go through. So I believe there's always a place for someone in your organization, just maybe not that level that they're quite interviewing for, like a level of leadership. So that's a important key.
How do you tell somebody that they're not suited for the thing that they think they're suited for? Because this is a big challenge for anybody trying to grow a team. I know I struggle with it sometimes. So how do you have that conversation?
Yeah, they're hard. I mean, I've had to move on from a sales manager just this last year, and it was like, hey, just like I love you. I know you get it. I know you want it. But it's the capacity, like your skill set doesn't quite line up, and I feel like you're actually holding our organization back. And that was just the short of it. And he appreciated my directness. After I told him that he didn't find a place in our organization, but that was just something that you have to go and do, because if there's a strong piece holding you back, like we're a team of 60 something, 62 agents right now. I can't have one person holding 61 people back. And if I'm that one person, I have to look in the mirror every day and decide like what I can do differently or better, to be effective in the seats that I'm sitting in for the people that are trusting me with their business. And if I can't do that for them, and after you do that, you're it shows up. The agents say, you know what, that was the right move. Like
Yeah.
that, like there wasn't a great culture being surrounded around that. And then productivity increases. We went 4x after I made that change. So it was a big piece to it. But in general, I think when you're talking with someone, especially on the interview side, I've had people that I've interviewed with that, might be part-time agents, might have some other obstacles that aren't allowing them to get immersive into real estate. And that's, what, it just doesn't culturally fit. And I just don't think we can go on in this in the same direction for now, right? Things can change, but it's always about being honest. You don't want to lead, just you can make a decision rather quickly when you have all the information and it effectively and being able to convey that in a kind, caring way because you want to benefit their future. That's how I found success in hiring
Yeah, you don't want to
or
set them
not hiring.
You don't want to set them up for failure. And I think you have such clarity on what you're looking for. It's easy to see what aligns with that. So you have a lot of people that are depending on you, not only 62 agents, no pressure, and all of your clients and all of your babies, right? It's like three teenagers, which is wild. What do you do to kind of take care of yourself? Like people who are under like us overachievers and high performers, what are your daily activities or, rituals, systems? What are you doing consistently every day that's a non-negotiable for you?
Love it. So you have to pour into yourself before you can pour yourself out to other people, right? An empty cup fills no cups. So for me, my day starts before I look at anything. I'm in God's word. So I read the Bible every morning. I think that that's a great way to start. So that's where the day begins and where the day ends, but especially to start. So I'm in there. Right now, I'm reading a chapter from Old Testament, a chapter from New Testament, journaling. It takes me about 30 minutes. And then I have a weight room in my garage. So then and as I'm reading my Bible, I'm drinking caffeine. So I'm getting ready. And then I head out to the garage, get an hour lift in. So by 7 o'clock, I'm able to wake my kids up and be with them as they're getting ready for school. And then my dad duty just got cut into a third because I have a driver now. So she takes her and her younger sister to high school. And I'm getting to spend just the time alone in the car with my son. And that's being a cool dad building moment. So we get to talk about stuff and it's
Yeah.
fun and it's good. So that's a good way for me to start. I take care of what me and my son talk about is we're going to take care of our spirit. We're going to take care of our physical body, and then we're going to take care of our mind. And how we take care of our mind, we go to work and we give it our best. That's how we're going to sharpen our mind today. And so he does that at school. I do that working. And so those are the non-negotiables to start. And then afterwards, I don't have a hard stop, but my wife got me this Blackstone for Christmas. So like 5:30 every day, I'll go out there and my slow down is like I'll cook some dinner out there on the grill, listening to a ebook or something. And then I'll bring it in. We all have dinner together, wind down and do it all again. And I'll tell you what, it sounds like it's regimented and things like that, but it's never boring. Around my family and these kids are firecrackers. My wife is like, if I'm an introvert, right, Laura? My wife
Mhm.
is like, she brings the excitement and the fire like every
Yeah.
day. So I'm never a dull moment for me, and that's what fills my cup.
So your story about your son totally resonates because I have my son just turned 16 on the 10th. And so I flashed back. I was in one of those Dave Ramsey like financial peace universities years ago, and I just remember one of the speakers telling the story about the differences between how men bond and connect and how women do. And men like tend to want to sit like side by side, not like face each other. And like two men, the visual I got out of this was like two men can like ride in a car together for like 2 hours to like go pick up a trailer or something and not speak the entire time, and they will feel like they totally bonded and connected just by like doing that thing together. But women, like if you got in a car with a woman and she didn't talk the whole time, you would feel like so offended and disconnected. And it's just funny because I have found with my son, because I drive him every day and pick him up most days, if not my parents. But it's interesting with boys because you can sit there quietly sometimes and he won't utter a word. But then when he starts talking, it's magic, right?
Yeah.
It's really special. So I love that I only have one, but you have three, but now you get that thing that's different and special with a boy by themselves. And so I love that. That totally like touches my heart. Um,
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
so
well, like you said, I can go on a golf cart ride, right? Like
mhm,
play golf, 18 holes,
mhm,
and I'll get home. My wife will be like, "So what'd you guys talk about?"
nothing.
Maybe about the shot we just
Yeah,
took. I don't know, not
yeah,
much. We were
yeah,
gone for 4 hours and you didn't
yeah,
talk. It's like,
yeah.
well,
Like
no,
what's going on with his wife? And you're like, I don't know.
sure didn't. I don't know
Yeah,
who's his wife. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
anyway, so true.
So, out of all the things you talked about, if you could pick like one thing, maybe business related, and one thing personally, in your personal life, like what are a couple non-negotiables of the things you talked about, and maybe something you didn't say yet that have to be in your life for you to be happy or successful?
Yeah, I'll start with business. And you need to choose 5 things that you're really good at. Choose the 5 things that you like to do best and build your day around that. Your whole day should be surrounded around your 5 best things, not six, not four, 5. And then underneath those 5 things, describe the activities that are going to lead you to succeeding at that one thing. And you need to do those things every day. So, let's say like I want to lead my team every day. What are the 5 things I'm going to do that? One, I'm going to spend 30 minutes a day in research. I'm going to find out like if am I doing what's industry trends for my team. What else is out there? AI is moving at a super fast pace. What can I give them to succeed more and show that I'm invested in them? Um, I'm going to be on meetings with them. I'm going to build accountability for them. I'm going to build processes for them that are repeatable. And then I'm going to have a place where I'm up to date, where they can find the most latest training so they can always revert back to what they're doing. So that's one aspect of my day that I'm building into. And those are the things underneath it that I have to do to be successful at leading my team. And then I have 4 other things that I'm building into. And this falls into one of them. You have to be the face of your business, right? And you have to get out there and show yourself to the community so people can choose you, right?
Mhm.
If people don't have the proximity to you, they can't choose you. So, business, choose your 5 things, get in proximity with people you want to grow with.
Don't go personal yet. So is the assumption then there, like you come up with these five things and then like whatever is not on that list, are those the things you're focusing on? If they're necessary, you leverage them out to
Got to
other
delegate.
resources?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Do what you're great at and then delegate the rest.
Yeah.
I have a mentor, friend, business partner named David Lawson, and he's always talking about like what's your worth. And when you're doing the activities that are going to move the needle in your business, that should be like your 1,000 hour, dollar an hour business, right? Should you be doing those $20 an hour tasks? And I have to look at myself like, why am I sending this email right now? So put yourself in a position to where you're earning your worth of what you are in your business by doing the things that you're great at. He always says, I'm good at this many things and
Hmm.
I'm awful at this many things.
Hmm.
So you just got to focus on your core and what you're good at and
I love
then
that.
delegate the rest.
I
Even
love
if it
that.
costs you money, like got to do it.
Okay. So now go to your personal. What's your non-negotiable thing in your personal life?
Non-negotiable on personal is obviously like you just have to get your priorities in order, right? And a lot of people put fun and things like that ahead of building the foundation of what I think is important. So for me, it's God first, and then my wife, and then my kids, and I have to build into those relationships because those are like my that's what's in proximity to me, that we live in the same house. That is the ministry that I was blessed with and that I want to be a good steward of. Um, and then again, the 5 things thing, I only have room for 2 more things, right? Work and then hobby. And so don't be like, in my opinion, don't be the jack of all trades getting out there and having like 6 nights away from your family a week because you have to unwind, relax, and especially if 3 of them are happy hours, you gotta choose your your activities wisely because you only have 100% capacity. And if you're not prepared for your next day, then how's it going to look? So for me, preparation starts with getting really good sleep. You have to have really good sleep the night before so you can wake up refreshed and build into your spirit, and then build into your physical body, and then build into your mind. And then you can have that time to relax and spend it with people you love or do the hobby that you have. Um, so to me, I'm an introvert. I like systems, I like processes. So repetition is healthy for me. But I think that's true of anybody. And like even when we got to the pleasure to listen to Gary Brecka, like those are things that were easy things to understand, yet so profound. So that was a pretty cool thing of just understanding that protecting yourself and taking care of yourself actually leads to freedom and health and in your spirit, and then also in your finances.
I think we try so hard to overcomplicate it sometimes, and it's so simple. Like my walk away from Gary Brecka and even Schulze was like, it's so simple. Like just be good to yourself, be good to people, find what you're excellent at, and then leverage the rest off. And I think that's where we struggle is a lot of us have control issues where we want to touch every aspect of everything, and it's a disservice for our clients. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you are a book reader, which I love because I'm like the biggest book junkie ever. What is a book that you read and you were like, oh my gosh, every entrepreneur in the world needs to read this book. I cannot believe this isn't all over everywhere. What is like your most impactful book, sales and entrepreneurship wise?
Yeah, the one that I just finished. So, like on the way to Atlanta and on the way back, I finished a book called Be the One that Brent sent us all.
Uh-huh.
And that was interesting. That was probably not the most groundbreaking. Yeah, that one right there. So probably not the most groundbreaking thought process, very short read, but it was the working side of it to where I opened up my phone on the plane and just wrote down a lot of notes and really built into who I want to be um for my organization, for my family. So that was really good traction if you're looking to build systems and operations in your business and you want to like bang your head like, wow, that's simple. Why didn't I think of that? Free traction. That's a duh book. I hate those books because it's so simple but so profound. That's probably why I like the Bible. But so
Mm.
those are the two right now that are fresh in my mind and that I'm working through. I still got 4 pages of notes that I'm working on relaying the message to my team so that we can all adopt it and buy into it.
Okay, so share with me, because what you're doing is something that I haven't really seen before, other than maybe the company called Place, but they do it a little bit differently and it's crazy expensive and it's a huge life shift to happen. It seems like, and I don't know, understand fully what you're doing, but in your business model, you've built a production team and then you've built this ecosystem around it. And then now you're copying it and you're pasting it in different cities. And now you're going to other teams and brokerages and bringing them over within your umbrella, like almost like a business within a business. Can you kind of share with everyone? Because there's a lot of people, I know in my group, I've got like 70 teams, but I know in my Facebook group, I probably have hundreds of teams and team owners and brokerage owners. What is it that you're doing? Because it's something that I haven't really seen before. And how does it work?
Yeah, so for me, I was at an independent brokerage for 10 years. We had a small, medium team, 16 people, including myself, and we do, okay, 150, 170 million, something like that. And I was like, man, I feel like we're so like that's my glass ceiling. And I felt like anything I did, I couldn't break through that mark. So I said, I think we have something good. We're in a small market, and if we can do this well here, what could that look like in larger markets? So I took my processes and I documented them, and and I went into test mode. Well, first of all, I went on a journey and I joined eXp. I left that brokerage and consequently 14 of my team members. So I came over to eXp in October of 2024 with 2 agents, and then we started scaling rather quickly. And I was able to find my way into San Diego. I was able to find my way from the Palm Springs Desert into the Bay Area. I was able to find my way in Orange County, LA. So we got 5, 6 areas right off the bat from just recruiting within eXp because I needed to help with all the my leads that I was generating. And so then I was like, okay, cool. That was my goal. I wanted to make the world a little smaller, get into these markets because the systems needed to be there. So then the systems were there, but now I needed help. So I built in a tool belt for all of my agents. So we have three pieces of AI, we have a great CRM, and then we have documented processes on what to do when your clients raise their hand. On the buy side, sell side, whatever it is, there's an SOP for everything. So essentially, I built this cultural online cultural center. It's the Stout team. It's on Circle, and so that's where everything is housed. That's where all our meetings are scheduled and out of. And so we essentially built a community to where anywhere in the United States, somebody could jump on my platform, essentially be powered by the Stout team, get access to our tool belt, our CRM, our trainings, our coachings, our meetings, our culture, everything that team leaders don't like to do. So what I found is that most team leaders are very high producing agents whose next logical step was to build a team because that's how you make a little more income. That's a different stream. And what I found is that then team leaders started continuing to produce. The team members became a thorn in their side, and they were taking their own commissions that should be their profit to then fund their team and people that weren't giving them a profit. So when I looked at that problem, I looked into myself. I was like, how can we break through that? And that was through systems, processes, and then scaling upon something that's repeatable. So that's what I've done, and we've implemented it now in 7 different areas and in multiple different states. So that's the new journey that I'm on, and it's really exciting.
So what team sizes do you look for in case like somebody listens to this and they're curious or want to know more? Do you look for a production level, a agent count? What are you looking for in a team that you might want to help do this? Because I feel like you're answering the call to a lot of teams' problems. So maybe you're
Yeah.
starting a trend here.
So it's a little financial model that I have internally. And as long as it pencils to go positive, hopefully, 4x, then that's where I'm okay with doing that. And when I say 4x, it's probably not out the gates because there's setup costs, there's things to do and stuff like that. But when I look at a team leader's vision, and one, are they in line with me? And my 5 core values? Are they people that are a growth mindset? Do they want to take advantage of this wonderful company that we all work for at eXp and grow in all those different facets? So we have to be like-minded to start. And from there, as long as there's commitment to scaling, because this is a scale model, right? It's not going to work with 5 agents. It's not going to be profitable. We have to be of the intent to scale and understand that the model that we have is wildly scalable and it can build into both of our businesses. And something that I have to make absolutely clear is that this isn't just to benefit me, it's to benefit both parties. It's a working relationship. And if we're not both succeeding while experiencing that, then it's not worth doing.
I think there's a huge gap in the market for that because I know, like, I have a team and I'm a really big producer and I do things at a certain level and really, really fast. And busy for me is better than being slow because if I'm slow, I'll fumble. I need 400 things to do. But what I've learned is I'm like, oh, I send something to this agent and they're not doing it the way I do it, right? Because I'm a helicopter mom. You're not doing it the way I do it. You're not doing it as fast. You don't email the same way I do. And what I find is I get frustrated and then I'm like, well, I don't want to send you leads because you're not going to do it how I do it. And what I've learned is, they would have done it how I wanted it done if I would have taught them the right way to do it. But I don't take the time to train them because I'm so busy doing all of the things. And so for you to have documented, me, I was an entrepreneur. I never had like a real corporate job. So KPIs and SOPs and all these like fun acronyms that you guys talk about, I didn't know what that was. And so for you to have it documented and systematized and duplicatable, I think is huge because typically you're right. We have to learn how to be great leaders. We're just great salespeople, and those are two different things.
Absolutely. And that's what I had to grow into because even in sales though, like where I had my most success, I was selling models, right? I was finding deals in market, and especially because I got it in 2010, we all know that market. Like I think the first house I sold was $55 a square foot or something like that. So when you get into an environment like that, it's like how can you scale that? So I couldn't just sell one house at 55 bucks a foot and get a $2,000 commission and be okay. Like I had to mass produce. And so taking that, you know, I guess that was the foundation of my business. And then building upon that with a different type of vision and adjusting to markets. I feel like this kind of scalable model gives you insulation from the market turns. And that way the pivots become smaller. You're always going to have to pivot, but they become manageable instead of life changing.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. Like when the market slows down, people are like, oh no, I'm going to get out of real estate. And really, it's instead of making 10 contacts, maybe you need to make 15, or maybe you need higher conversion rates or better scripts. And so sometimes it's a small adjustment just to keep making what you were making. And so it's definitely
Mhm.
possible.
Yeah,
Okay.
where's the niche in the market? That's a great way to say it.
Yeah, I love that. I know in Houston there's so many, and probably California too, there's so many investors here that it's never a good or a bad market. It's always just a buyer's market or a seller's market. And it's always there's opportunity here. We see teams that are selling thousands of homes and they're not doing it by accident. So being able to
Mhm.
have your systems, it's huge. So since you're surrounded by realtors all the time, like I am, what is something that you wish that realtors would stop doing? And we can say it with love, but this is a coachable moment of something that you see consistently that you wish if, that one thing that if they were to change that one thing, it would change everything.
You got another hour? No, I think when it comes, the biggest mistake that I see is people thinking they're protecting themselves by doing negative follow up. So, for instance, lead comes in and it's like on a Tennessee in common, or I'm not sure what's in your market. Maybe it's a tenant that's in the property. Maybe there's an obstacle, right? And instead of servicing the client, you're trying to protect your time because you don't think you think this obstacle is going to stop them from buying. It's not about that one property, right? So what if there's a tenant in there? They just called you to go see a house they have intent to buy. So here's the follow up that I see. Hey, Mr. Buyer, just to let you know, there's a tenant in this property, and it's going to be very tight windows to see it. You can't move into it yourself because they have another 6 months on their lease, and they're only paying $2,000 a month, and your mortgage is going to be four. Like literally, I've seen these texts, and I'm like, you just talked that person out of buying a house. Are you in sales, or are you in like, I don't know, you work at Penny Saver? I don't understand it. So for me, the biggest thing I would have agents change is their follow-up cadence to be wildly positive, to use the tools that they have at their disposal, and follow up either until they tell you to go away explicitly or they die. Like that's the business. There's so many obstacles, like even the obstacle of, oh, I already have an agent, right? So I have this one platform that tells me who's transacted in my database and what the listing was or what they bought it for. And that's so I'll go back and I'll check and I'll see that, okay, they ran into that person 6 months ago. They just listed today and they told them that they had an agent. You had 6 months to go earn that business. They didn't list it the next day. And after they told you that they already had an agent, they waited 6 months. You had 6 months to show that you were the better agent than the person they listed with. And if you leaned into our seller packet, if you leaned into our tools, if you leaned into our production, if you leaned into like, look, if you don't work with the Stout team, you're going to at some point because it's going to be inevitable. Like we just do things too well. You have to work with us. You dive into it and you earn that business. What would that do for you? That's what I built my business on. I was doing sticky note leads from REO calls, sign calls. And by the way, everyone has an agent. Everyone's brothers, sisters, uncles, nephew is an agent, right? That's an easy obstacle to overcome. They were just trained by someone they barely know, and it's done nothing for them to say they have an agent. So I would say follow up until they die, be positive, and always find a way to get in front of them. If you're absolutely wasting a huge resource of a lead if you're not making that appointment on the first contact. I don't care if it's like you're at Costco, let me meet you in the TV section. I'm on my way. You're at a gas station, I'll fill up next to you. Find a way to meet them and show them how great you are because everyone is so unique. Like everyone that's listening to this or everyone that will listen to this, you are unique. You have your own proposition. You don't have to be that Amanda Whitespear who sells a zillion homes a year. You don't have to be that person. Be yourself and when you're genuine, people will be attracted to that and they'll genuinely then want to work with you. So that would be the one thing I would change.
And the aha is that person 6 months later did list their house. They just listed with someone else. So they're going to buy or sell. You're not bothering them. You're just going to be able to give them better service because you actually care and you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah,
I
and
just
they
want to
should
say,
interview.
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lori.
I just love this, the whole thing about lead with positivity when you're following up. Most agents tend to go straight into the negative. I've done it myself. You feel apprehensive about bothering them. We always tell ourselves we're bothering people. And I just everybody could just be a little bit more Pollyanna-ish on this topic. Like you what you just said hit me like a ton of bricks because I have a tendency to go to the negative or think that like you said, they already have a realtor or whatever. And who really cares? If you're bringing something good, nothing bad can come of that, right?
Yeah,
That's like that Schultz.
exactly.
Good for the seller, it's good for the buyer, it's good for the agent, it's good for the broker. Like if it's good for everybody, you need to make it happen. We're not
Yeah.
selling ice cream. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Being an ice cream salesman be a fun job. Everyone's happy when they're working with you. But when it comes to that, positivity, that comes from picking up the phone, right? Like anyone can hide behind their phone or their follow-up boss system, whatever it is, and type in a text, "Hey, I saw you're looking for homes. I'm so excited to," like that's a pass every time. People aren't going to engage with that. 1 out of 10 people, 1 out of 100 people will engage with that. When you pick up the phone and you treat it like I've been saying, it's the Super Bowl of your day when your phone rings or when you're calling someone. This is the peak of your day. And when you treat it like that, and I don't care if it's your 200th phone call in a row, it's the peak of your day. If you can't give it the peak of your day, you're done. You need to stop because now you're just checking boxes. You're not doing anything productive. You need to put yourself in the mindset of what you're doing is positive and that you're going to be changing people's lives for the better and including the people that you love the most. You're not doing it for you. You're doing it for everyone that's supporting you and that needs your support. And if you can keep that mindset, then you'll always give it your best.
I love that. I want to open this up for questions. Does anyone have questions while we're lucky enough to have Ross on here? Don't be shy.
Well, if nobody has questions, I can pose questions. Find your why today. Find out why you're doing what you're doing. Build into the 5 things that you want to be, that you think you're excellent at, and then define what those actions are and put those into motion today. And then find out what space you have for the 5 things that you can do every day personally to build in there.
Ross, do you mean 5 things across your whole life? Do you mean 5 things in your business or 5 things in your personal life? Be specific. What do you mean?
Yeah, so I have 4 things that are non-negotiable in my life, period. And that is God, my family, work, and then I get 2 other things to put in there. So a hobby or a passion. So if you get more than that, then then you're doing too much and you won't be able to be good at what you're doing.
So Alex asked, how do you differ between the things you need to do, the 5 things you need to do, and the 5 things that you're good at? Because sometimes the things you need to do are not the things you're good at.
Yep. So you need to be good at the things you want to do. So the things that you need, and maybe you're in a place to where you're not, at a place where you can be at scale. And when you're not at scale, yeah, you're gonna have to do the things you don't want to do. I didn't wake up at 26 rolling into a Caldwell Banker office saying, "Come on, I'm the rainmaker. Like, just bring me the stuff that I'm really good at." No, you had to build, right? Even to get in the last year to a point where I had a platform that worked, I was on the phone with CSM. I was on Zapier build things. I was doing the follow-up systems. I was writing out every process. I was shooting these videos, building a circle platform, an online. Those were things that I'm not great at, but had to be done. When you're at scale, when you're getting to scale, that's when you delegate those 5 things to yourself. If you are a newer agent or you're building your business, you got to suck it up and do the things that you don't want to do to build the foundation that's scalable, if that makes sense. So when the foundation's built and your operations are sound and you're able to interact with your clients on a repeatable basis, then you choose the 5 things that you're really good at because you have a machine that's starting to move, and then you need people to make it go. Does that make sense?
That's powerful. And remember that you don't always have to have a lot of overhead. So if you're new, find people who will work with you. TCs that'll say, "Hey, pay me at closing. I'll get paid when you get paid." A lot of support can get paid when you get paid, and that way you don't have the standing overhead. Everything's performance based.
I have 0 employees, just so everybody knows. I have no employees. I have no overhead. I built a machine that when I was out finding the people that wanted to work with me, they saw that they could earn while we grow. And the way that I set it up is on split share system so that the more we sell as a team, my leadership team gets paid more. So we had a strong base just based off general, production and history. And now they see, okay, cool. If we can do this and this and this, then we will all make more on that end. So no employees here. That's just people believing in what you're doing and seeing that it can scale.
I think this is the new way to do business, the new normal.
And I hope so. I mean, otherwise, I'll tell you if it doesn't work out.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for pouring into everyone. We'll share this recording. We'll share everyone's contact. And if you guys want to reach out to Ross, what's the best way that people could get in touch with you if they wanted to talk teams or eXp or anything like that?
Yeah, I can hit me on socials. You can hit me on email. I'll put it in the chat right now.
And I just want to say real quick, I'm sorry I had to jump because I have to get to a medical appointment. But y'all, people like this are in our circle, and it does not matter what level you're at in your career, how much you've sold, what your dreams and ambitions are. Everybody's different, but it's really an honor to have people like Ross be willing to give us his time. I have a tiny little team, and he's got a huge team, and he's willing to share his time and experience with me. So don't hesitate if you need anything to reach out to people like him, because he's here to help us grow.
Yeah,
And
let's have that abundance mentality, right? Helping everybody.
And co-sponsorship is huge right now, y'all. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's been so much fun. Laura and I have been doing it. Ross is in California, so if you've got anybody who wants to talk teams or brokerages or even California people, he's an awesome co-sponsor, and he's easy to work with. So highly recommend.
Thanks, guys. God bless you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, too.
All right, see you.